Manchester United in negotiations with soon-to-be free agent Jonathan David, as Fabrizio Romano confirms that clubs have started talking about signing Rasmus Hojlund. United are in talks for Antoine Semenyo, according to his agent. Ekitike and Cesco's price tags are revealed. United are looking for a versatile attacking midfielder for the summer transfer window, with links with Bryan Mbeumo, inquiries made for James Trafford, and a big injury boost. All this plus more in today's video as we run through all the latest Manchester United news and transfer news that will keep you right up to date with everything. Welcome to Man United Review. My name's Jamie. Before we get into it, smash a like on the video. And let's jump straight into it. So I said in yesterday's video, it feels like the transfer window's open with the amount of stories and noise and, you know, kind of talk. Some of it's going to be BS and clickbait. Some of it is, I think we are just genuinely inquiring about players or speaking to agents, working out costing and transfer budgets and, you know, wages and all of these things as well. So we'll run through all the latest. So Fabrizio Romano said that clubs have begun contacting Manchester United and those close to Rasmus Hojlund to inquire about his availability and how much he will cost. There is interest in Hojlund and there could be a move in the summer. So Romano confirming that there is interest from other clubs in Hojlund and that people have started to inquire about his availability. And there's no smoke without fire when it comes to the striker situation. Obviously, there has been loads of stories over the last few weeks and months regarding Hojlund and, you know, potentially his exit. We know we're looking for a top striker to bring in. That's been kind of confirmed by, you know, Romano, Ornstein and Laurie Whitwell have all said that we're looking to bring in a top striker this summer, and obviously the question marks would then be where does that leave Rasmus Hojlund? Well, according to Romano, teams have started to make inquiries. He didn't say that there's anything close or any concrete talks or anything like that, and obviously we don't know what United's response would be to those as well, but there's no smoke without fire when it comes to potentially Hojlund leaving in the summer. Tell us how you feel about that down below. Now, Ekrem Connor, who I'm still yet to be convinced on, but has a large following, is linking us with loads of players and coming up with loads of reports recently saying that Antonio Conte and Napoli are prioritising the signing of Rasmus Hojlund to replace Victor Osimhen this summer. Obviously, Victor Osimhen is a player that we've been heavily linked with. The problem with Osimhen's going to be his wages. He's on about £250,000 a week, I think. At Napoli at the moment, he doesn't want to take too much of a pay cut, according to Romano, which means we would have to pay him around $350 a week after UK tax to bring in Osimhen, which I think would be the kind of stumbling block with the deal. But interesting updates regarding the striker. You know, interest in Hojlund. See that it has been linked with Napoli before. So yeah, we need to keep an eye on that and see how that kind of develops. That would obviously leave us light up front. So we've been loads of talk recently, and this might please some of you from the comments on previous videos as well. So there's been a good update regarding Jonathan David and his availability. So Le Ten Sport, who are a good French source, said that Manchester United, Arsenal and Spurs are currently in active negotiations to sign Lille's Jonathan David on a free transfer this summer. So what do we think about that, Jonathan David? I like Jonathan David. I you know, there are question marks around him. Like, he's at 25. He's scored goals for fun in the French league, which obviously is a different league. But I think if you can score goals, you can score goals. 41 appearances this season, 23 goals, 10 assists. That's really good numbers. And bear in mind, he's going to be a free transfer. We've paid top dollar for players that have not even got anywhere near those sort of numbers before as well. You know, would be an opportunity. Would he be coming in as a Hojlund replacement and then we still go for another striker? That couldn't be ruled out. You know, is he going to come in as a number one striker? I would have doubts around that, as much as I like Jonathan David. You know, for a free transfer, I think it's a little bit of a, you know, it's an opportunity mark. And even if he's crap, right, then you could sell him in the summer afterwards and make a profit on him. The worry would be the signing on fee and the wages. I would be skeptical about giving him high wages, because then that ties your hands a bit, being able to do that. But, you know, would be a really, it's a good opportunity on the market for somebody that's free and knows where the back of the net is. He's coming into his prime, 25 years old as well. The only question mark I would have would be, why has no club picked him up earlier? He's been a player, though, that we've been linked with since the Solskjaer days, so he's clearly a player that we've been paying attention to. But again, it begs the question, why have we not gone for him before now? That's the kind of worry with with Jonathan David, but you know, I think it'd be a good opportunity in the market personally, but I'd be unsure about whether to bring him as a number one choice or as a backup. But you know, it's one to pay attention to and to keep an eye on. But give us your thoughts on that in the comments below. Now, another striker we've been linked with recently is Ekitike. Now, firstly, Romano had the following to say: Hugo Ekitike is expected to leave Eintracht Frankfurt in the summer. Premier League clubs have already started calling for the French striker ahead of the summer transfer window. So Romano confirming that Ekitike is expected to leave Frankfurt in the summer, which is really interesting. Florian Plettenberg, who's good when it comes to German news, said that Manchester United transfer target Hugo Ekitike will leave Frankfurt in the summer, and Frankfurt are asking for 80 million euros. Now that works out to around 68 million pounds. So 68 million pounds is the price tag for Ekitike. And if you go back to what I was just saying about Jonathan David's numbers over a consistent period have been way better than Ekitike. I think Ekitike is having a better season this season than Jonathan David, but Jonathan David's been scoring 20 plus goals for the last 3 or 4 seasons. Ekitike didn't score that many goals in the French league and is having his one kind of breakthrough standout season, and I don't want to kind of dismiss him. Very talented player. See, the reports were the other day that we've been following him since 2022 as well. So again, clearly a player of interest. 68 million pounds though is a big wedge of our kind of budget. But if you're going to go out and get a top level striker at that sort of age, does he fit the profile better? Again, question mark. If he couldn't do it at PSG, to pay 68 million pounds for somebody that's having like a very, very good season and is a very talented player, I don't know whether we'd have the funds quite available to do that. But it's plausible. It is plausible, I think, from the kind of reports. He's on the list of strikers that we're looking at anyway. But yeah, give us your thoughts on that. And then another striker that we're linked with is Benjamin Cesco. Now, Florian Plettenberg, again, same price tag for Cesco. So Manchester United target Benjamin Cesco has a release clause of around 80 million euros, which, so both 68 million pounds. I did say in the video the other day, because we were linked with Cesco, Ekitike, Osimhen, and Gyökeres, that they're all around the same, between 60 to 70 million pounds is the kind of fees for those 4 kind of strikers. Do we have the budget available to do that? Obviously, if we're planning to sell Hojlund, even though Hojlund, you might be able to get a bit of money from the PSR books, it actually doesn't equate to that much unless you're selling him for similar price to what we bought him for. But let's be real, I don't think there's that many clubs that are going to pay that sort of money for Rasmus Hojlund with the form he's been in so far this season, although he's starting to pick up a little bit. Got a couple of goals recently, which hopefully might kind of improve his confidence, and then see how he goes for the end of the season. But no smoke without fire when it comes to the striker situation. Linked with a lot of names, a lot of it would come down to obviously budget, wages, availability, profile as well. So we just need to kind of see how we go, see what they kind of decide to do. But yeah, definitely going to be interesting, I think, this summer in terms of the striker market, because we know we're looking for one. There's maybe interest now in Hojlund. It's going to be interesting to see what sort of profile we go for, and like I said, budget, wages, all that stuff as well. But yeah, starting to heat up a little bit around the striker talk. Now, another striker that we've been linked with is, so Manchester United have contacted Olympiacos for Karalan Kostoulas after an inquiry in December. The club observed him in person. Now, there's an interesting kind of profile of player. He's very young, 17 years old, so I don't think with Brexit rules we'll be able to sign him until he turns 18, which is the end of May. But that would be somebody that would probably be more realistic than the others, going for like a young, hungry, up-and-coming kind of player. I don't think it would be fair, though, to put all the pressure on his shoulders. I still think we would need a more ready-made kind of striker, because we'd just be making the same mistake that we did with Hojlund by putting all the pressure on him at a too young, too soon. 35 appearances this season, 11 goals, 2 assists. Like I said, for a 17-year-old, they're decent numbers. Obviously, it's in the Greek league as well, so it's a little bit of a lower standard, I would say. But can play in multiple positions. Has played 13 times as an attacking midfielder, so could do a job as the because we know we're looking for a number 10 as well as a striker, played 7 times up front as well, scoring goals, made one appearance as a kind of right winger as well, so could offer you a little bit of flexibility. He's right-footed, valued at €8 million on transfer market, so there's a rabbit out of the hat of another kind of player that could be well scouted, well thought of, would fit the mold of what we're looking for, young, up-and-coming, developmental. I've not watched a ton of him, watched his highlights and doing a bit of research and stuff. Looks okay, but I'll bow to your knowledge on this. Give us your thoughts in the comments if you know more about the player, because I really want to be interested to hear if you know more about him, if you think he would be ready to come to United. Now, other players that we've been linked with recently, Yildiz and Simons for the attacking midfield position. So Florian Plettenberg's now the latest kind of journalist to get involved in those talks, saying that Manchester United are monitoring Keenan Yildiz and Xavi Simons. Manchester United are looking for a versatile attacking midfielder for the summer transfer window. We covered a lot of this yesterday when we were talking about that. Yildiz, Juventus value him at around £75 million. I don't think we'll go anywhere near that sort of deal. I agree with some of your comments, actually, that are saying for that sort of money, you'd want an experienced, ready-made player to come into the first team, not a 19-year-old developmental player for that sort of price. I agree. In terms of Xavi Simons, the latest on there is Christian Folk said that Manchester United are interested in Xavi Simons and RB Leipzig and asking for over €70 million for him. It's not easy with money at the moment at United, of course, so we'll have to see if there's clubs around willing to pay €70 million. So €70 million is around £60 million roughly for Xavi Simons. Again, mentioned it in yesterday's video. He's a player of interest, whether we would have the funds. Someone made a great point, actually, and fair play in the comment yesterday, saying that, if you went for Jonathan David as a striker for free, why not use the funds then that you've got for the striker to go and get somebody like Xavi Simons? And I was like, that's not a bad shout, actually, is it, to kind of do? But again, is that the way that they want to go down? Is that the right kind of route? I don't know. Would be an option, though. Wouldn't be the worst idea I've kind of heard of. But yeah, a couple more kind of credible sources. Christian Folk's very good when it comes to German news. So is Florian Plettenberg as well. Demarcio was the other one as well, mentioning about Yildiz before as well. So there's no smoke without fire. So maybe these are players that we've made some inquiries about. Whether we'll go for them or not would obviously remain to be seen. We're in March, so still. But whether we're looking at kind of availability, prices, wages, all of this kind of stuff, and then we'll go through our kind of targets for the summer, or whether we're lining them up to kind of see, okay, 1, 2, your first, second, and third choice. Who knows? But keep an eye on it for you. Give us your thoughts down below. Now, next, let's talk about Bryan Mbeumo. So, Arsenal and Manchester United are among the clubs eyeing a potential summer transfer window swoop for Bryan Mbeumo. However, the strongest interest may well be coming from Newcastle United. With that, they'd be willing to meet Brentford's £50 million asking price for the player. So Ekram Connor linking us with an Arsenal along with Newcastle for Mbeumo. He is a player that we've been linked with before. Muppeteers mentioned him a few times recently as well. So maybe that's somebody that we could potentially look at. £50 million seems a little bit excessive for me. He's having an unbelievable season for Brentford, though. Would fit the mold of being, not necessarily young and up and coming, but more physical. The intensity would definitely bring that. Where I think would play in the kind of right 10 position, and then maybe move Amad Diallo to the right wing back position, which is not the worst idea in the world as well. I think he's not necessarily the most extravagant name, but I think he would fit United and what we're kind of looking for, and bring that kind of, give us a little bit more, physicality and energy and kind of work ethic up front as well. That's for sure. We need to keep an eye on that one. Now, another player we've been linked with recently is Semenyo. So I need your help on this story, right? Tell us what you think about this in the comments. So Manchester United are ready to pay £33.5 million to sign Antoine Semenyo ahead of Chelsea and Tottenham. Bournemouth want closer to £42 million for the winger. Now, that came from African Foot, who were saying in their story that the agent has told them that Man United are in negotiations at the moment for Semenyo, right? Which sounds really exciting. And that would be another one, decent price, Premier League proven. Again, we've mentioned him in a previous video. I think he'd be okay. Would he be my number one for that position? Number one option or choice for that position? No, but You know, if budgets are tight and fees, Premier League proven, there is some value, I think, in getting some players that are Premier League proven as well. Not the worst idea I've heard anyway. But African Foot, the story, where the sources come from, have, at the time when I screenshotted this, had 520 followers. So I'm not sure the credibility of the source. Now, they might just not be very popular online, but have a really large following in terms of subscriptions and readers and viewers and stuff, and maybe like a limited online presence. That can't be ruled out. But I would expect some, like, way more kind of credibility than someone that's got 520 followers. And they actively post as well. It's not like a dead account or anything. They've been posting, you know, like when I screenshot this, they'd had a post like 2 hours beforehand and stuff as well. So I want your opinions. What are we saying on that story? BS? Or are we saying that you think that it's credible? Give us your thoughts in the comments below. Now, another player that we were linked with yesterday is Mecha. So Manchester United are closely monitoring Felix Mecha. Jason Wilcox is a big factor as he knows the player. Dortmund do not want him to leave and will demand more than 50 million euros. So that's Sky Germany picking up on the news that came from Bild yesterday. So two decent German outlets picking up on the reports potentially about Man United being interested in Felix Mecha. I did mention in yesterday's video the whole kind of Wilcox connection. See Sky Germany saying the same thing as well in regard to that. So that could be one to pay attention to and to keep an eye on. And then Manchester United have made inquiries about Burnley's James Trafford. Manchester United want to bring someone who can in to compete with Andre Onana. That came from Graham Bailey. Graham Bailey can be a hit and miss journalist though. But it's not the first time. I'm sure it won't be the last time we get linked with James Trafford. More credible people like the Muppeteers and stuff have said that he is a player that we're potentially interested in. Whether he would come in as a number one or a number two, we'd have to kind of wait and see. Obviously, the goalkeeper situation is one where, you know, Tom Heaton's going to go. Question marks about Bayinda, whether he's going to stay or not. And obviously question marks around Onana, whether he's going to be the, you know, the man for Amorim moving forward. Someone like James Trafford, I think would be a good option. £20 million, young, English, fits that kind of homegrown model. Whether he would be quite ready to come in as a number one or whether you bring him in as a number two. Because if you can't sell Onana this summer, because the reports recently were that he doesn't want to go anywhere, which makes it difficult to sell Onana. You need a buyer, basically. And if there's no interest in him and we don't have a buyer for him, then what are we kind of meant to do? So then if you bring in Trafford and then allow him to potentially take over from Onana this season is not the worst idea, but we'll need to keep an eye on it. Could be potentially big changes for United. Obviously, the striker situation is starting to kind of heat up, and then potentially the goalkeeper situation as well. But give us your thoughts below. Let me know what you think. Now, player we just mentioned there, Altay Bayinda, returned back to grass training yesterday. He's been doing lots of strength and conditioning work in the last few weeks, and his fitness level has gone up massively. That came from Sully Says, who's actually been really credible recently regarding injury news and updates behind the scenes for United. And then Aiden Heaven has been at Carrington without a protective boot. You just surmise from that it's not going to be too long after the international break that he returns. Hopefully that came from Laurie Whitwell. And the Manchester Evening News sort of said a similar thing as well. Aiden Heaven is now out of his protective boot and has a chance of resuming training after the international break. And when you kind of think about the visual of that injury, it did not look good, did it? So I'm absolutely buzzing that Aiden Heaven's not out for the rest of the season, because I thought, God, that's a season-ending injury it looked like. So if it's just the worst-case scenario, he misses a couple of weeks, might even be back after the international break as well, which is insane, really, when you think about it. Like, I'd be gutted to miss Heaven for the rest of the season, and he's only made a handful of appearances, but the boy is that talented and he looks that good that actually I think he should be coming into the first team a lot more, because he looks so good when he's played for us. So it would be a massive shame to have him out for the rest of the season or for a long time as well already, after he's only made a few appearances for us, which shows the quality, I think, of Aiden Heaven. But give us your thoughts on that in the comments below. Give us your thoughts on everything else that we've mentioned in today's video, because that's you all up to date with the latest Manchester United news and transfer news. Smash a like on the video on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. See you in the next one.